You check the time, 11:47 p.m. The last train leaves in 13 minutes and you are already running. Your shoes slap against the wet concrete, your bag bouncing against your back, your breath coming out in white clouds in the cold night air. You make it, barely. The doors hiss shut behind you and you collapse into a seat, chest heaving. The car is almost empty. An old man sleeping 2 rows ahead, a teenage girl with headphones in staring at her phone. A conductor who doesn't look up when you board. You catch your breath, you close your eyes. When you open them, the old man is gone. You don't remember any stops, you look around. The teenage girl is still there, but her headphones are around her neck now, and she is staring at you. Not at her phone. Not at the window at you. Her face is completely still. You give her a small smile, she doesn't return it. You look away. The train slows. You look out the window expecting a platform, a station, some lights. There is nothing, just trees. Dark trees pressing right up against the glass on both sides. The train stops completely. Silence. Not the kind of silence where you can still hear the hum of the engine. The other kind. The conductor walks through the car. You flag him down. You ask him what is happening, where you are, how long the delay will be. He stops. He looks at you the way a person looks at someone who has said something strange. He tells you this train doesn't make stops after Millfield. You tell him you boarded after Millfield. He tells you that is not possible. You pull out your ticket. You hand it to him. He looks at it for a long time, longer than it should take to read 6 words and a timestamp. When he looks back up, his expression has changed into something you don't have a name for. He folds your ticket in half. He puts it in his jacket pocket. He tells you to stay in your seat. You ask for your ticket back. He walks away. You stand up to follow him, and the teenage girl grabs your wrist. Her grip is surprisingly strong for someone her size. She doesn't look at you when she speaks. She keeps her eyes straight ahead. She says 3 words, don't follow him. You look at her. You look at the door the conductor just walked through. You look at the black trees outside pressed against the glass like they are trying to see in. You sit back down and the lights go out. In the red dark, she speaks first. She doesn't introduce herself. She doesn't explain the train or the trees or the conductor. She does something you don't expect. She holds up her phone. The screen is on facing you. A video is playing. You recognize the location immediately. The hospital you work at. 3rd floor corridor. The camera angle is from the security system. You know, because you have seen that footage before, you reviewed it 8 months ago when a patient filed a complaint and the hospital board asked you to provide a statement. You told them you weren't in the building that night. The video shows you in the building that night. You stare at the screen. She doesn't say anything. She just lets it play 40 seconds. You entering through the staff entrance at 20:17 a.m. You walking the corridor with your head down. You stopping outside room 308. You going in, the timestamp running 4 minutes and 11 seconds. You coming out, walking back, leaving. The patient in room 308 died at 2:23 a.m. that night. Cardiac event unexpected. Tragic. The kind of thing that happens in hospitals sometimes and gets filed correctly and mourned appropriately and closed without further investigation because the patient was 81 years old and had been ill for a long time, and sometimes people die. You told the board you weren't there. The video says otherwise. She lowers the phone. She asks you one question. She asks who sent you. The question doesn't make sense for a moment, and then it makes complete sense. And the making sense of it is worse than the not making sense. She thinks someone sent you. She thinks you were there on purpose. You ask her who she is. She tells you the patient in room 308 was her father. You feel the floor of everything shift. She tells you her father was an accountant, retired. Unremarkable in every way that the world measures remarkability, except that 3 months before he was admitted to hospital, he came to her with a hard drive. He told her he had been doing the books for a company he didn't fully understand for 6 years, and that he had recently begun to understand it, and that what he understood frightened him badly enough that he had copied everything onto a drive and needed her to keep it safe until he figured out what to do with it. She took the drive. She kept it safe. Her father went into hospital 2 weeks later. Routine procedure. He was supposed to be home in 4 days. He died on day 3 at 2:23 a.m., 4 minutes and 11 seconds after you walked into his room. She has spent 8 months trying to find out who you are and who sent you, and she has found both, and she has been trying to get close enough to ask you directly for 3 weeks. And tonight she followed you to the station, and she bought a ticket for the last train, and she sat 2 seats behind you and waited for the right moment. She did not expect the train to stop in the middle of nowhere. She did not expect the lights to go out. But here you are, 2 people in the red dark with a dead man between them and a hard drive somewhere that apparently someone wants badly enough to send a person to a hospital room at 2 a.m. She asks you again who sent you. You tell her the truth. You tell her nobody sent you. You tell her you were there because you got a call anonymous, a voice you didn't recognize. They told you the patient in room 308 was not who he appeared to be. They told you he was dangerous. They told you the information he was carrying would hurt people, specific people, people whose names they gave you one by one in a voice that stayed completely calm. People you knew, one of them a name you would do anything to protect. They told you what to do. They told you it would look like natural causes. They told you nobody would look twice at an 81-year-old man with a history of cardiac episodes. They were right. You look at her. You tell her you stood outside room 308 for 4 minutes and 11 seconds. You tell her you did not go in. You tell her you stood at the door with your hand on the handle and you could not make yourself open it. And after 4 minutes and 11 seconds, you walked away and you went home, and at 2:23 a.m. your phone rang. And the same voice told you it was done. You tell her you have spent 8 months not knowing if you did something or failed to do something, and whether either answer makes you the person you are afraid you have become. She stares at you. She asks you whose name they gave you. You tell her. Something moves across her face. Something that takes several expressions to get through before it arrives somewhere that doesn't have a clean name. She opens her bag. She reaches inside. She pulls out the hard drive her father gave her 3 months before he died. She puts it on the seat between you. She tells you whatever is on this drive is why her father is dead, and why someone called you, and why this drive is the most dangerous object either of you has touched in your entire lives. She tells you she has never opened it. She has been carrying it for 8 months without opening it because her father told her to keep it safe. And opening it felt like the opposite of safe. But she tells you she thinks it is time. She looks at you. She tells you she thinks that is why the train stopped. You look at the drive. You look at the door the conductor went through. You look at her. You ask her what her father told her was on it. She tells you he said it was everything, every transaction, every name, every instruction sent and received and carried out over 6 years of books that looked like one thing and were another thing entirely. She tells you her father said the company he worked for moved money the way other companies move product, efficiently, invisibly, through systems so layered and legitimate on the surface that nobody had ever looked underneath. She tells you her father said there were names on that drive that would make you understand why an 81-year-old retired accountant dying in a hospital at 2 a.m. was worth the risk of sending someone to make sure it happened. You think about the name they gave you, the one they said would be hurt by what was on the drive, the one you would do anything to protect. You have been thinking about it for 8 months as a reason. You are starting to think about it as a warning. She picks up the drive. She looks at it. She tells you her father was not a complicated man. She tells you he was a good man who spent 6 years not understanding what he was part of and then one day understood, and then spent 3 months trying to figure out how to make it right. She looks at you. She says her father died trying to do the right thing too late. She asks if that sounds familiar. The cold comes then. The conductor's cold. Moving through the car without footsteps, without announcement. Neither of you looks up. She puts the drive in your hand. She closes your fingers around it. She tells you she has been carrying it for 8 months and she cannot carry it anymore. And she needs someone to take it somewhere it can actually do what her father meant for it to do. You look at the drive in your hand, you think about the phone call, the voice, the name they gave you, the hand on the door handle that didn't turn. You think about 4 minutes and 11 seconds of standing still, and whether that was cowardice or the last functional piece of your conscience making one right decision inside 8 months of wrong ones. The cold is very close now. You close your hand around the drive. You look at her. You ask her if she trusts you. She looks at you for a long time. She says no. Then she says she doesn't have anyone else. The train moves smoothly, deliberately, the way it moves when it has finished with something. The trees fall away. A station appears, lit real. A platform with people on it living their ordinary midnight lives completely unaware of what just happened in a train car that stopped in the dark. The doors open. You stand up. She stays seated. You ask her if she is getting off. She shakes her head. She tells you she still has somewhere to be on this train. Something unfinished. She tells you she has been riding it longer than tonight. You look at the drive in your hand. You look at her. You tell her you will find someone who knows what to do with it. Someone who cannot be reached by the voice on the phone. Someone whose name is not on whatever is inside this drive. She nods. You step off onto the platform. The doors close. The train pulls away. You stand in the light of an ordinary station, holding a hard drive that got an 81-year-old man killed in a hospital room while you stood outside the door for 4 minutes and 11 seconds, trying to decide who you were. You know who you are now. You take out your phone. You dial the one number you know that cannot be touched by any of this. It rings once. She answers. You say you have something.